Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Taking a Risk with George, and in today's episode I need your help, and I'm specifically targeting anybody who knows anything about gardening. So this year, with everything that's been going on with the COVID pandemic and being inside all the time, I decided to take it upon myself to do something that I've always wanted to do, which was grow a vegetable garden. And I built this beautiful box that I'm sitting on, I'll show you guys in a minute, and I planted tomatoes and cucumbers and carrots. And everything was going great until a few days ago when I discovered that my cucumbers were infested with cucumber beetles. And this is where things went bad. So the garden has been blooming for about 2.5 months now, and I've collected plenty of fruit and vegetables from tomatoes. I've gotten lots of tomatoes and a couple cucumbers, but all of a sudden things took a turn for the worse, and I'll show you guys here what I'm talking about. So I built this lovely box off the ground and I planted, here's the tomatoes, these are the Better Boy tomatoes, and these came in so well for so many weeks, and then all of a sudden they just started deteriorating like this. They started turning black and just dying, and I don't understand why. And I haven't been able to get a ripened tomato off of these for about 2 weeks, and as I was saying before, they were coming in, I was collecting at least 1 to 2 per day, and these are by far some of the best tomatoes I've ever eaten. I've never heard of them before. I even have the little tag down here. They're known as Better Boy tomatoes, and I will definitely be planting these again next season, but I just need to know what I need to do to get it right. I had a great mix going on, and these are dragon hybrid cucumbers right here in front that look so horrible. These things were, this whole area was full of just green blossoming leaves, and then all of a sudden this happened. And this started about a week or so ago, and I think it's because of those cucumber beetles. So I need somebody to tell me what can I do for them. I've done a lot of research on these cucumber beetles, and at first I noticed them and they didn't seem like a big deal. There was just 1 or 2 that I noticed, but of course there's always more. And I honestly thought they were yellow ladybugs. That's what they looked like for me. There's one right there. So if anybody doesn't know what a cucumber beetle, there is one right there. Little buggers. Yeah, fly away before I smash you, which I will do. I've smashed several of them, and the war will continue. I'm so upset as to what has happened to my garden because of those things. So this was full, and I actually just pulled 1 cucumber off. You can see there's several growing, and this is the only side that was growing cucumbers, and they look so wimpy. These things were coming in so nice before. And so what I ended up doing was researching how to get rid of these cucumber beetles, and there's a few methods, but I really didn't want to try some of the methods that were on there. A lot of them talked about putting sticky traps down by the base to catch them, because that's where they go to lay their eggs. So what I ended up doing was, the research that I found said to put in a spray bottle about 1/4 of dish soap, Dawn dish soap, and water, and the rest, and then use that to spray on all the leaves sometime in early morning or at the late evening, which is what I did. I did it at the late evening, and when I woke up the next morning, the leaves were looking a little dark, so I knew something went wrong. So the next step that I tried, and there were still plenty of beetles, so that didn't do anything for the beetles. They were still all over the place. So the next step that I read about was to get this stuff called neem oil, and everything that I read said that this stuff would get rid of the beetles in a couple of days. And after a couple of days of spraying them, that's what happened to my garden. So here's the other side. These are regular cucumbers, and these have not produced 1 edible cucumber yet. You can see I have some finally growing in, and I can't wait for these to be ready, but that's literally all I've gotten out of it. What ended up happening when I was growing these, this is my first time, so I went off of what the packaging was saying. I planted about 4 to 5 seeds every, I think it was like 6 inches or so. So you can see I've got a group growing here, a group growing there, a group growing there. They were all growing next to each other, and I think what happened was there was a bunch of runts, and they were just like siphoning off the nutrients preventing these from actually growing cucumbers. So against my better judgment, which it actually worked out better, I didn't want to do this, but it worked out, is I ended up picking, just uprooting the little guys, the ones that weren't growing. They didn't have, a lot of them had flowers, which I know that's where the cucumbers come from. Those are tomatoes, but so what I ended up doing was finding the ones that don't have any flowers, like these, because those will turn into cucumbers, and I just pulled them. And after about a week or so, I started noticing that the cucumbers were coming in. So that actually worked out, and I was sad to do it, but it actually worked. This used to be where the carrots were. I just pulled all of them. They were little halfling carrots. You can see they're Nanter half-longs, and those did not grow in at all. There was a mishap. Once again, this is my first time, so I tried to do nice little rows of carrots, but when I went to go pour the seeds, they all just kind of fell out right there, right where my hand is in this back area. And I had just a cluster of about 75 carrots growing right there, and none of them got to an appropriate length. I pulled all of them, and they all looked like this. So here's one, and they tasted fine, but look at how pathetic. I was so mad, and these were growing for about 3 months. So I started this in late May, and it's now end of August, so, and I just pulled those the other day, and I tilled the soil, and these sad little fellas that are growing right here are cantaloupes, and they're now cantaloupes. They're definitely not coming in, and Jack's gonna be so sad. This is stiff, and once again I think this has to do with the neem oil. So what I need is somebody to give me some direction on what I should have done. I think I still have one alive cantaloupe right here, but stiff as a board. It's almost like it's a stick, and I don't think that's right. And of course these are obviously, breaks my heart. Can't believe this happened to my beautiful garden. And I have to say that it was like
losing a best friend.
Because this is my first vegetable garden. I didn't think I could do it. I didn't think it'd be as prosperous as it was. I thought I would build this, and several months later there would be 2 or 3 cucumbers to eat and maybe a couple of tomatoes, but it literally took off. I still have these little sweet, let me see if I can find they're called Super Sweet 100s. Let me zoom in on that. Super Sweet 100s. Fantastic. I will definitely be growing these again. These things came in drones. There's just so many. And the same thing happened. I was pulling about 7 to 8, maybe up to 10 off of here a day for at least 2 to 3 weeks, maybe more, maybe about a month almost, because it is the end of August. Yeah, it was probably about closer to 3 weeks to a month. I was pulling ripe fruit off of this, you know, about 10 a day for 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks, and then all of a sudden nothing's ripening. It seems like everything's standing still, and all of them are dying. There's a little cucumber growing in, and I'd hate to think it's because of that neem oil, but why on earth would all this just happen after that? Now it is late August, so if somebody out there wants to tell me it's late in the season for vegetables and this is what they normally do at a certain time of the year, that would be great. But I don't want to think that I killed these, so. And there's still cucumber beetles, as you can see. And there's another one. There's 2. They just landed. There's one right there. They look like little yellow ladybugs, and there's actually 2 different forms of them. There's the black and yellow spotted ones, and then there's also a striped one. And the striped ones are smaller, and they're so much harder to catch. Look at how sad, like almost in tears over here, looking at my beautiful garden. So I'm turning to you guys, so any information you have would be greatly appreciated. Let me know what I should have done and what I can do for next year to make this twice as good. I'm definitely going to move things around. I didn't think they would grow as big and as fast as they did. With cucumbers growing next to these tomatoes, I definitely would have separated them or even built a whole nother box. This is 8 foot by 4 foot. So I'd love to build a whole nother one and just have cucumbers in one, maybe carrots in another, and definitely more tomatoes. I'm definitely going to do that. And the cantaloupes. I've got to retry on these cantaloupes for Jackson. So in the comments below, feel free to shame me on what I did to my garden. I already feel bad enough, but I mean, if you just want to tell me I did a horrible job, it'll help me to do better next time. So feel free to do that. Or you can just put some good advice in there and let me know what I should do for next time to grow a great garden. And if you guys know anything that, let's say, like go great together, I would love to know that too. So if there's something that helps a cucumber grow better and it helps something else grow better, so they're beneficial to each other, that would be great information. I'd love to learn, and maybe one day I'll end up showing you guys a full crop of beautiful vegetables.
So this is what it looked like when I was done building, and the whole thing took me about 4 to 5 hours. And I posted these to my Instagram, so that's why it looks like this. This is what it looked like after about 2 weeks. You can see that the cucumbers have started to sprout up, and I was so excited. And this is about after 3 weeks to about a month. Things were going so great. My tomatoes were starting to come in after a little over a month.